All right, welcome back, everyone. Today, we are jumping right into the brand new Canadian real estate numbers for November 2025. You've probably seen the headlines, but we're going to cut through all that noise. Let's dig in and figure out what's really going on. Because, that's the real question, right? It doesn't matter if you're thinking of buying, selling, or you're just watching from the sidelines. These numbers have an impact. So let's figure out what that impact is for you.
Okay, so first things first, let's get a bird's eye view of what's happening. We're going to do a quick trip across the country's biggest markets. This is going to give us the context we need before we really dive deep. So, starting off in Toronto, you can feel things are definitely cooling down. House sales have dropped by 15%, and wow, look at the condo market. It's taken an even bigger hit, down 21%. And with fewer buyers in the mix, that's pulling the average price down by 6.4%. Definitely a shift happening there. Now, let's hop over to Calgary. We're seeing a similar vibe, but with a really interesting twist. Single-family home sales are down just a little, about 5%. But condos? A massive 28% drop. And here's the kicker. Inventory, the number of homes for sale, is up 32%. That means buyers have way more to choose from, which is really putting the pressure on. Okay, Edmonton is a bit of a puzzle, and this is what makes it so fascinating. Sales are down pretty significantly, just like in other cities. But get this, average prices have actually gone up a little bit for both. It's a real head-scratcher, and it tells me there's still some serious underlying strength in that market. And that brings us to our main event today, Vancouver. Yeah, on the surface, the headline is sales are down. But trust me, the real story is what's happening with prices, and it's not what you'd think. All right, let's do it. Let's pull back the curtain on the Vancouver market. We're going to ignore the crazy headlines for a minute and see what the data really tells us when we look back over the last few years. And boom, we start with this absolutely shocking number, minus 56%. But whoa, hold on a second. This is a classic case where you have to read the fine print. This number is only for new home sales. The resale market, where most of us actually buy and sell homes, that's only down about 2%. See, this is why we have to look past those big, scary numbers. So let's break this down for single-family homes. Yes, sales are down 13% compared to this time last year. But look closer. Sales are still higher than they were in November of 2023 and 2022. And the price? Yeah, it's down 6% from last year's peak, but it is still holding really strong above that $2 million mark. Now for the condos. Okay, check this out. This is probably the biggest surprise in all the data we're looking at today. Sales are down 11%, which, we kind of expected. But look at the price. It's actually up 2% from last year. How is that possible? Well, at the same time, there are 5% fewer new condos being listed for sale. Less to choose from is keeping those prices surprisingly firm. And really, this quote from our source material just nails it. Despite all the chatter about a big market crash, prices for single-family homes in Vancouver are proving to be incredibly stable, just hanging out around that $2 million mark. Now, let's just hop a little bit east and take a look at the Fraser Valley. You're going to see a really similar pattern to Vancouver here, but there's a unique twist, especially when we look at the condo market. So let's get things off with the number that's probably grabbing all the headlines, a massive 34% drop in condo sales compared to last November. That is a huge number. It makes it sound like the bottom is falling out of the market. But is that the whole story? First, the single-family homes. And you'll see this looks, well, pretty familiar, right? It's almost a carbon copy of Vancouver. Sales are down 13%, and prices have dipped by a pretty modest 3%. The market's cooling, for sure, but it's not collapsing. Okay, back to those condos. Here's that 34% drop in sales, and yeah, prices are down 9%. On its own, this looks like bad news if you're a seller. But look at that last line, new listings. That is the key to this entire story. And there it is. That's the twist. While demand from buyers is down, so is the supply from sellers. The number of new condos hitting the market is down a whopping 23%. So it's not just that buyers are getting nervous, sellers are getting nervous too, and they're deciding to wait it out. That totally changes the dynamic. So you see, you can't just look at one side of the equation.
As our source material points out, the fact that fewer listings are coming on the market is what's actually putting a floor under prices and stopping a much bigger drop.
Okay, so we have waded through a ton of numbers. What's the big takeaway? What does this all mean for you if you're actually thinking about getting into this market? Well, we've seen that sales are down, but prices aren't exactly crashing. And that creates a very specific kind of opportunity.
And I absolutely love this line because it gets right to the point. This isn't about trying to perfectly time the market and catch the absolute bottom. It's about realizing that in this market right now, the power to negotiate an amazing deal has shifted into your hands. That's right. The source material for this explainer has this fantastic, perfect term for the strategy you should be using. In a market where sellers are a little nervous and homes are taking longer to sell, it's time for you to be bold. It is time to think stink bid. So what on earth is a stink bid? Well, it's pretty much exactly what it sounds like. It is a bold, it is a confident, and yes, it is a lowball offer that you can make because the market conditions give you, the buyer, the negotiating power. It's not about being rude, it's about being strategic. Okay, so you're sold on the idea, you are ready to make a stink bid. How do you actually pull it off? How do you land what could be the deal of a lifetime? Well, it all comes down to having the right plan and the right team in your corner. So here it is, your 4-step game plan. Step 1 is all about your mindset. You've got to go in there with the goal of negotiating an incredible deal. But, and this part is absolutely critical, you cannot do it alone. That's where steps 2, 3, and 4 come in. It's about building your A-team, an experienced realtor who knows these numbers inside and out, a great mortgage broker to lock in your financing, and a sharp lawyer to protect you. And so that's where we'll leave it. The data is clear. The power has shifted. It is officially a negotiator's market. The opportunity is sitting there waiting for you. So the only real question left is, what will your stink bid be? Thanks for tuning in.